The Walt Disney Company has promised to spend $60 billion turbocharging the parks, and we're seeing the fruits of that today as they have added tape to the seats of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway to make sure that they can stuff as many people as possible into those rides. Oh my Disney, let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell here with a light story. Mr. Vashkai, what do you think about this new turbocharging endeavor? How much do you think this cost? And let's get into it. Please go ahead and tell us what's going on.
Yeah, well, the turbocharging endeavor, we've heard numbers out there, $60 billion over the next 10 years, $42 billion or so being spent to add capacity. We here on the channel have said that adding capacity can take many different forms, not just the forms of new attractions, but also new hotel rooms, for example, new cruise liners, new DVC, all that kind of stuff. However, you know, I guess some of that has to be applied to getting the most out of their existing attractions, but we can't spend too much on that, as we are learning right now. This comes to us via X. Nate Goes to Disney. New to me, ride-ups for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. This is the Disneyland version that just opened actually last year around the same time in January of 2023. Interestingly enough, they're siphoning out parties of 1 and 2 and queuing to the side to fill empty rows. You can see right here, they really want to fill this up to, it looks like 10 people there. It looks like, what, four adults, the rest children. Pretty ambitious. I'm not sure if this is necessarily going to work, but hey, they have found a way to do this. And their solution, not here, but here, it looks like it's going to be tape. Yeah. That's their solution. And more specifically, actually, Marty Snyder, who we've referenced here on the channel before, has actually said that it's more specific than that. It's actually electrical tape that is being used right here.
Oh my. Look at that gap right there. And I can see the other gap as well. Yeah, this is a way to save money. Disney, if you're hard up for Imagineers, I could have come up with this idea. I wouldn't even have charged you a full year's salary, which, by the way, if anyone wants to help us out, there's a Patreon link down below. This right here, okay, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is one of the rides that they were bragging about on the annual shareholders call, not the annual report, and also on the quarterly earnings call that was just a few weeks ago. This is supposed to be one of the things that they were bragging about, turbocharging the parks, showing what they were doing in order to improve stuff. They were saying that they are fixing the parks, and therefore this is one of the recent achievements, one of their crowning trophies to show that they are running the parks correctly. Why would this ride in particular maybe not be one that you would want 5 people horizontally sitting next to each other that don't know each other very well, Vash?
Yeah, this ride is a little bit at issue specifically because you have a segment within this ride. It's the, what is it, Daisy's dance theater?
Dance hall?
Or dance hall, yeah. And you can imagine this room to be like, you know, surrounded by all mirrors. We've seen this before in, like, let's say, movies about ballerinas, for example, right? You can think of this in a similar way. And while you're actually in this room, the vehicles actually in unison waltz between each other. And it's actually quite a nice effect right there. And then it turns into kind of a conga dance, and the theater and the seats jerk side to side, pushing you into others. So it becomes kind of very awkward if you're sitting next to somebody you don't necessarily know. This is why it's like, okay, well, let's fill these seats with like 2 and 2, let's say, just to have a little bit of a buffer between them. I can see them doing that, but to fill this, you know, 5 across here like this, it's a little bit ambitious to say the least.
5 across plus lap sitting, which I'm looking forward to the point at which they have to clarify that they probably mean that a child can sit in someone's lap.
Yeah,
we know
very
a lot of
small child, by the way.
Instagrammers and Disney adults who might try to say, no, you said lap sitting is fine. Please, sir, this is a family park.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Or maybe whether or not that's still true. Go ahead, Vash.
Oh no! I find it particularly interesting because we just actually heard about that incident in Shanghai Disneyland actually involving their Zootopia attraction and how one guest was found their way out of a vehicle somehow. We're still looking into how that exactly was, but then they wound up under the vehicle, which was a very precarious situation there.
Actually,
it's interesting because this involves the same kind of tech in which they have a single lap bar covering multiple rows. That could be an issue if you're trying to fit 5 people of varying sizes.
Plus lap sitting, yes. How does the lap bar work if you are having one of the smaller people sitting on one of the larger people's laps? Of course, I do remember on a trip that I made while there were still dividers up and people were wearing masks at Walt Disney World, where I was on the Orlando version of this ride, and I did move a fussy child into my lap during the ride. They were still under the lap bar, I do believe, but the cast member spoke in a way that I wasn't used to a cast member speaking to me. That being said, I did apologize to them. Whether or not I believed I was in the wrong, maybe that's a little bit of a reflex there. I always try to be the nice person there. The cast members during that period were under a lot of stress, so I let it slide and said, "Oops, I'm sorry. I'll try not to do that again." But they were very unhappy to have lap sitting on the ride. So is that a safety issue? Especially considering the Zootopia attraction, which is very similar to this one. I would say it is.
Indeed. That's the kind of scary thing about this. Also, too, I just want to bring up this one point as well.
Please go ahead.
The backdrop to this attraction opening was obviously a redoing of Toontown. We've covered this story before, but as MiceChat actually interestingly pointed out here in their article today, doing a little bit of research on some other stories that we're covering here on the channel, but they make a note of it right here, actually, that still, to this day, even a year after Toontown has been officially opened, Donald's boat splash pad area still hasn't opened and is still behind walls. Not even nice construction walls. These are kind of the mesh walls that they put up. Supposed to be for temporary settings. But it's like, guys, we have tape on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And by the way, this beyond just this tape right here, we have heard of very kind of poor maintenance issues at this attraction specifically regarding certain effects like the Mickey and Minnie audio animatronics, for example, in this attraction are either static or the vehicle that they kind of proceed in at the very start of this attraction has been stationary for quite some time. The one of the doors that are supposed to be covering some effects has been broken open, for example, and it's just kind of a shoddy state. You can even see here some of these seats, they're a little bit darker than when they opened with. This is a year after opening. It's like, come on, guys, what are we doing here? This is a brand new attraction. This is the newest attraction, Disneyland. What gives?
Right, and this of course creates the question. We will probably never stop talking about the ironic statement that they are turbocharging the parks, and it doesn't seem like that's going to go towards refurbing things that are there at the parks. They say it's towards adding capacity. We get the feeling that that is adding cruise ship capacity and adding DVC, Disney Vacation Club, which is timeshares by Disney capacity. But in the end, what you have to do is create an excellent experience in the parks. And seeing those dingy seats on a brand new ride with electrical tape on there. And by the way, if you got a bunch of little kids in there, I don't think that electrical tape is going to stay in place very long.
No, this is not a long-term solution. This is a short-term solution that Ops dreamt up, I guess. And it's like, we have to increase capacity for this attraction. It's like, okay, well, I get it. I understand the mentality behind that. It is a longer seat row, I suppose. If you have groups of 2 or whatever, double them up. Yeah, that's fine. But to do it in this kind of shoddy manner, and by the way, what is it, like a paper sign or whatever before? Park policy used to have rules against that, by the way, for to maintain the standards of quality and show. So,
right. So let me throw this to the audience. Is this the kind of thing that you would expect at the very high price point of the Disney Vacation? Now, that being said, I did just see a video from, I want to say Bright Suns Travel, if I'm not mistaken, that says that the price of a Disney Vacation has gone up by 40% over the last few years alone. That's a little bit more than inflation. Is this the kind of thing that you would expect to see if you go in for that premium Walt Disney experience there in Orlando, Florida, or Disneyland? Or is this the kind of thing that would make you consider going someplace else? Please let us know in the comment section down below, because we are hearing that some people high up at the Walt Disney Company like to watch our videos. Now, that being said, if any of you with those big pockets, or maybe some of us plucky people who don't have all the funding in the world, are interested in this kind of content, you might consider going over to our Patreon that we have linked down below. But of course, short of that, if all you can do is like this video, we still appreciate it very much. Please like this video if you like this video. Consider sharing it out to other people if you know someone who is interested in this aspect of the park. And of course, consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.